Zara Adeyemi had tasted hardship since childhood, but nothing prepared her for this moment racing through the overcrowded corridors of Hillcrest Memorial Hospital, heart pounding like a war drum. Her mother, Mama Joanna, lay weak on the bed, her skin pale, breath shallow like fading whispers. Zara grabbed her hand, silently begging God not to take the only person she had left. The doctor approached, his expression heavy with reality. "Your mother needs urgent treatment, imported medication, and constant care," he said. "The cost is 200,000 naira, and it must be paid immediately." 200,000. Even if she emptied her soul, she didn't have half of that. Zara swallowed her tears. Her father died when she was 8. Since then, she had been mother and daughter in one body, juggling final year studies at Lekora University with cleaning jobs and tutoring children, all for the hope that one day life would finally smile on them. Now life was smirking. Her scholarship money had been delayed for months. Rent was overdue. Their landlord was already threatening to throw them out onto Rosewood Street like they were trash. Still, she walked into the office of Mr. James Bello, a notorious moneylender, with hope stitched to her chest. She explained everything: her mother's condition, her need, her desperation. He leaned back in his chair, sneered, and stabbed her pride with his words. "You borrow money. With what? Your poverty." He laughed. "If your mother dies, bury her in advance. She is overdue anyway." Zara's knees weakened. Humiliation burned her cheeks, but she didn't lash out. Her mother needed strength, not pride. She left his office, heartbreaking, night wind cold against her tears. The pharmacy was her last stop. She picked cheap drugs, anything that might give Mama Joanna even a little comfort. But her card declined. "Insufficient funds," the cashier snapped, pushing the medicines aside. People stared, judging her worth by her empty pockets. Zara's entire world trembled, until a calm, deep voice broke through the shame. "Add it to mine," he said. She turned and saw a man whose presence felt like power wrapped in silence. Tall, handsome, well-dressed, eyes mysterious. Darian Cole Nwoko. A billionaire heir reaching into her collapsing world to hold one corner steady. Zara whispered a shaky, "Thank you." She didn't know yet that a stranger's kindness could open a door she would spend a lifetime trying to close. That the man who saved her mother might break her heart in return. But for tonight, all she had was hope. And breath was hope enough. Darian Cole Nwoko did not usually pay attention to strangers. His world was diamonds and boardrooms far above the reach of anyone like Zara. Yet when he saw her trembling in the pharmacy, something in him paused, something human. He paid for her items and walked away, assuming their paths would never cross again. But destiny is never that polite. Later that night, as Zara sat beside Mama Joanna's hospital bed, watching her struggle for air, her hope collapsed one breath at a time. She tried calling every number she could find, old classmates, distant relatives, anyone. But every answer was the same. "Sorry, I can't help." Her phone battery drained, her strength drained with it. Then a new message appeared from an unknown number. "We met earlier tonight. I know you are desperate. Come to Palmview Waterfront Lounge tomorrow. One night. Any amount you ask. No strings attached." Zara froze. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Was this what her life had become? Was her mother's survival worth her dignity? Shame shouted no. Desperation whispered yes. She tried to resist. She prayed, cried silently, pressed her shaking forehead on Mama's fragile palm. But every machine beeped a reminder delay could mean death. As dawn approached, with swollen eyes and trembling spirit, she replied, "I will come." The next evening, Zara stood before the glittering glass entrance of Palmview Waterfront Lounge, a world far too polished for her worn shoes and cheap bag. She almost turned back, but Mama Joanna's face pulled her forward. She was escorted into a private lounge, soft lights, luxurious silence. Darian sat on a velvet couch, emotion hidden behind a controlled expression. His eyes met hers, and the air tightened. She inhaled deeply and set her terms, her last shield of dignity. No violence, no drugs, no videos. You transfer the full payment first, N200, 000. And after this night, we forget each other. Her voice didn't break, her soul did. To her shock, he didn't argue. He simply nodded, agreed. Transfer completed. Money confirmed. A handwritten note signed protection against any future claims. A contract of survival. Zara stepped into the hotel suite, heartbeat unsteady. She stared at the tiled bathroom floor for a long time, drowning in the weight of what she was about to do. Finally, she stepped out. Darian approached her, slowly, almost carefully. Their eyes locked, hers full of fear and sacrifice, his full of confusion and curiosity. He leaned in. She didn't run. The night unfolded, hesitant, trembling, and irreversible. By morning, she left before the sun could witness her shame. But fate had already seen enough. Because the billionaire who thought he'd bought just a night had unknowingly bought the beginning of his own transformation. Zara hurried straight to Hillcrest Memorial Hospital as dawn painted the sky. She collapsed beside Mama Joanna's bed, gripping her frail hand like a lifeline. Her tears streamed silently, tears of guilt, fear, and a decision that could never be undone. But when the doctors checked the new medications, hope returned to the room like sunlight breaking through clouds. Mama's breathing eased. Color returned to her cheeks. For the first time in weeks, Zara felt relief. Her mother, weak but curious, asked how the money came so quickly. Zara smiled a lie wrapped in love. "A kind classmate helped me, Mama." Mama Joanna squeezed her hand, whispering, "May God bless whoever saved us. May heaven reward their heart." Zara nodded, wishing the blessing didn't sting so painfully. Meanwhile, in the silent luxury of Colne Woker Grand Estate, Darian stood staring at the morning light slicing through his curtains. On the bed behind him lay the faint reminder he couldn't erase the crimson stain on the sheets. She had been a virgin, not a hustler, not an opportunist, not what he assumed. Darian felt something tighten in his chest. Regret, curiosity, a wound he didn't know he had. He called Henry Johnson, voice low and serious. "Find out who she really is." Henry dug quietly. Final year accounting student. Lives on Rosewood Street. Single mother from a poor background. Mother battling illness at Hillcrest. Every detail hit Darian harder than the last. She hadn't sold herself for pleasure. She had sold her innocence to keep her mother alive. Darian shut his eyes. For the first time in years, he felt ashamed. "Delete everything," he told Henry. "The messages, the records, no one must ever know." But secrets have teeth and the bite often comes later. Days passed. Zara focused on school and double shifts, pretending the night never happened. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw him, the man with the cold voice and warm hands. And though she would never admit it, a part of her wished he had asked her to stay. One evening, her phone rang. His name appeared like a ghost she wasn't ready to face. Darian. Her breath stopped. Her heart raced. But dignity made the decision her emotions refused. Block. Call ended. Number blocked. Heart protected. Far across Lekora Island, Darian lowered his phone slowly, disbelief flickering across his usually unreadable face. Women begged for his attention. Women chased his wealth. Women would sell their souls for a chance to be in his world. But Zara, she ran from him. A faint smile tugged at his lips. Interesting, he murmured. For the first time in his life, a woman walked away. And it made him want her even more. The struggle didn't end with the hospital bill. Rent was due. School fees waited. Zara's only running fuel was hope, and even that was thinning. After lectures one hot afternoon, she began the long walk back to Rosewood Street. Halfway home, she spotted an elderly woman trying to lift an overloaded shopping bag. Her thin wrists shook under the burden. Without hesitation, Zara rushed forward. "Mama, let me help you." The woman looked up, soft eyes, warm wrinkles shaped by years of strength. "Why would you help a stranger?" she asked. Zara smiled gently. "Because someday I may need help too." They walked together, chatting like old friends. When they reached the roadside, the woman insisted Zara continue her journey. She held Zara's hand and blessed her. "You have a beautiful heart. Kindness like yours never goes unrewarded." Zara bowed her head shyly and hurried away, unaware that she had just touched a queen in plain clothing. Grandma Isabella Colnwoko, matriarch of one of Lekora's most powerful families, and Darian's beloved grandmother. 2 days later, Zara stepped into Crown Luxe Boutique in the Marina View district. She needed a decent outfit for her final year presentation, just something clean and professional. But wealth shows its teeth in places like this. 2 attendants gave her a long, insulting look. "Look at her shoes," one whispered loudly. "These poor people come to pretend." Zara tried to ignore the sting. She chose a simple white blouse and navy skirt and walked into the dressing room. When she stepped out, the murmurs were louder, the judgment sharper, the humiliation heavier. Just as her chest tightened with shame, the boutique doors swung open, and in walked the elderly woman from the roadside, now dressed in an elegant lace wrapper, pearls glistening at her neck, confidence radiating from her like royalty. The attendants rushed to greet her. "Welcome, Ma." But Grandma Isabella brushed past them straight to Zara. Her smile spread wide. "My child, you helped me when you thought I was nobody." The attendants' jaws dropped. Then Grandma Isabella turned fire on them. "Respect every customer. Wealth can vanish, but character remains." Silence, regret, fear. She held Zara's hands and said warmly, "Take all the outfits that fit you. I will pay." Zara shook her head rapidly. "Ma, please. I only needed one." "Nonsense," the woman replied softly, but firmly. "You deserve to be seen just as God sees you." Before leaving, she pressed a sleek black card into Zara's palm. Aurum Group Executive Access. Interview invitation. Zara's breath caught. AG. The most prestigious company in Lekora. Darian Cole Nwoko's company. Her world spun not with fear, but with a new feeling. Possibility. She walked out of the boutique, holding clothes she never dreamed she could own, and a future she wasn't sure she deserved. What she didn't know was that the kindness she gave freely was guiding her right back into the arms of the man she swore to forget. The day of the interview arrived like a heartbeat Zara couldn't control. She wore one of the outfits Grandma Isabella had bought, a crisp white blouse tucked into a navy skirt, simple yet confident, refined yet respectful of her humble roots. She stood before the towering glass building on Lekora Island, Aurum Tower, home of the Cole Nwoko Empire, a palace of power she never thought she'd enter. She inhaled, prayed, entered. Security waved her through the executive lane because Grandma Isabella's card held weight in places Zara never imagined. As she walked through the glossy corridors, her nerves fluttered like trapped birds inside her chest. Then footsteps, fast, efficient, guards escorting someone important. She stepped aside quickly and froze. The man walking past, the sharp suit, the powerful stride, the eyes she replayed in her nightmares and daydreams are like Darian Cole Nwoko. His gaze snapped to hers, a moment of pure shock. A flash of memory the night neither of them could forget. But before emotion could speak, he masked it behind his guarded CEO expression and continued walking. Zara swallowed, the panic rising in her throat. God, why here? Why him? Minutes later, she was ushered into a large office, cool air, glass walls, skyline view like heaven itself. And there he was, seated behind a polished desk like a king in his fortress. Darian spoke first, voice calm, collected, unreadable. Sit. Her knees wobbled as she obeyed. He asked about her studies, her goals, her strengths. No mention of the night, no mention of the past, only professionalism. Yet beneath his steady questions, Zara saw it clearly. He was analyzing her character, not just her resume. When he asked practical accounting questions, she amazed him. Her voice grew stronger with each answer. Her confidence surged. Her intelligence glowed. Darian leaned back slightly, his cold facade cracking just enough to reveal something softer. You are impressive. Zara bowed her head modestly. Inside, her heart was running marathons. By the end, Darian nodded to Henry Johnson, who stood at the corner, observing everything silently. Approve her. Management trainee under you. Zara's breath caught. That was it, she got the job. Then Darian asked one final question, one she wasn't prepared for. How is your mother? Her eyes widened. He remembered. Zara looked away, fighting the tremor in her voice. She's getting better. Thank you, sir. She stood abruptly and hurried out before her emotions could betray her. Outside the office, she leaned against the wall, breathing fast. She had promised herself to erase him from her life. But fate had a wicked sense of humor. Her destiny was now tied to the man who had bought her worst night and held her brightest future in his hands. On her first morning at Aurum Group, Zara stood before the gleaming marble walls like she was stepping into destiny itself. She promised herself one thing: work hard, keep your head down, avoid Darian Cole Nwoko at all costs. If only life were that simple. From the moment she entered the trainee department, two pairs of eyes stabbed into her back. Belinda Ama. pristine makeup, diamond earrings, and a heart sharpened by envy. In her mind, she was already Darian's future wife, and Zara was a stain on her perfect picture. Beside her, Cynthia Bassey wore a sugary smile, the type that rots from the inside. Friendly words, malicious intentions. Belinda scoffed loudly as Zara sat at her desk. Where did they pick this one from? Rosewood gutter. Snickers erupted. Zara kept her gaze on her computer, refusing to give them power. Henry Johnson, noticing the tension, positioned himself as her shield, guiding her through tasks, praising her sharp mind, ensuring she stayed above the sharks. But jealousy is a silent predator. One afternoon during a supplier meeting, a cleaner accidentally spilled water near the conference table. The supplier exploded, verbally tearing the poor man apart in front of everyone. People shifted uncomfortably, but did nothing. Zara stood. Sir, he didn't mean to. Please, everyone deserves respect. The room froze. Disbelief, embarrassment, courage, integrity. Even Darian, who sat quietly at the head of the table, turned to look at her, surprise flickering in those guarded eyes. The supplier grumbled and backed down. The cleaner whispered a tearful, "Thank you." Belinda's face twisted with rage. After the meeting, Darian called Henry privately. "You made the right choice bringing her here." Those words sparked a fuse Belinda would not soon extinguish. That night, the office grew quiet as staff left one by one. Zara stayed behind, determined to finish her report perfectly. She didn't know she wasn't alone. Footsteps approached. Darian. Her pulse spun wildly. He leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, gaze softer than she'd ever seen. "You've been avoiding me." Zara turned sharply. "I've just been busy, sir." He stepped closer, only enough to share understanding, not intimidation. "I respect your boundaries," he said gently, "but I want to be your friend." The room fell into a tender quiet. They spoke about school, family, hope, fear. She noticed he refused a glass of wine earlier at the meeting. Curiosity won. "You don't drink?" He shook his head. "Allergic. Even a sip could harm me." Her eyes softened, so did something in his heart. A connection neither of them asked for was blooming anyway. As Zara packed her things, their eyes met again, unspoken truths hanging between them like fragile stars. She walked away quickly, afraid of how real their closeness felt. But Darian stood watching, realizing she wasn't just another employee. She was the only woman who challenged him to become something better. The grand hall shimmered with crystal chandeliers and expensive perfume Aurum Group supplier cocktail event. Deals were sealed here with smiles, threats, and more alcohol than dignity. Zara stayed close to the trainee group, keeping her eyes away from Darian, but her heart refused the same discipline. She could sense him anywhere, like gravity. Then trouble dressed itself in arrogance. A wealthy business client, glass raised high, stepped toward Darian with a mocking smirk. "Director Colin Woko, if you want that discount, earn it like a real man. Drink against me. Whoever finishes the bottle wins." A cruel dare. Henry stiffened. Zara's stomach dropped. Because Darian had once confessed to her, even a sip of alcohol could damage his health. But refusing would humiliate the company. It would feed every rumor that he was unfit to lead. His enemies, especially Chief Damien Cole and Leo, would celebrate. Darian's jaw tightened. Pride was a trap, and it was closing fast. Zara's mind screamed, "Do nothing. Stay silent. You don't belong here." But her heart moved first. She stepped forward, voice unshaken, courage roaring like a lioness. "If fairness is the issue, let me drink in his place." The entire hall gasped. "But," she continued confidently, "you will sign a new contract with transparent terms. The discount must be official, no hidden threats, no pride games." Whispers spread like wildfire. Who was this girl? How dare she speak? Why defend him? Belinda's face twisted in fury. The client laughed, amused by the challenge. "Deal." Glass after glass, Zara drank. Her vision blurred. The room swayed. Her pride screamed, but her love, or whatever unnamed thing tied her to Darian, held her upright. Darian moved forward, eyes burning with protest. "That's enough." His voice wasn't commanding this time. It was concerned, terrified. Zara smiled weakly, dizzy, shaking. "I told you. I will protect the things that protect my mother." The client signed the contract, embarrassed and defeated. Zara set the empty glass down victorious. Before her knees buckled, Darian caught her instantly. No boardroom walls, no cold CEO mask. Just a man holding a woman he suddenly realized he could lose. He carried her out, ignoring every stare like she was the most valuable treasure in the room. In the car, her head rested against his chest, heartbeat fragile. He whispered, barely audible, "Don't ever risk yourself for me again." Eyes closed, drunk tears slipping down her cheek, she murmured, "You were worth the risk." Darian's heart, the one he thought was frozen, clenched painfully. Because sacrifice has a language far deeper than love, and Zara had spoken it fluently. The morning after the cocktail party, gossip spread through Aurum Tower like wildfire. Trainees whispered, executives speculated, enemies sharpened their knives. Why would director Darian Cohen-Woko personally carry a trainee out of an event? Belinda Armour watched every whisper with a tightening smile. Jealousy wasn't just eating her, it was driving her. She had spent years polishing herself to fit into Darian's world. And yet, this ordinary girl from Rosewood Street was the one he looked at. Unacceptable. Cynthia Bassey, always eager to serve trouble, leaned in with a venomous whisper. "We'll destroy her reputation, permanently." Their plan didn't take long to execute. That afternoon, a message reached Zara's inbox with Darian's name attached. "Meet me in the Executive Sky Lounge, 8 p.m. We need to talk privately." Her heart stuttered. Did he want to see her? Alone? Zara didn't even question it. Her emotions made the mistake her mind would have avoided. She arrived exactly at 8. Skirt neatly pressed, hair combed to bravery. But instead of Darian, Belinda stepped out of the shadows. Camera flashes exploded, the click of screenshots louder than thunder. Zara gasped, confused. Cynthia laughed cruelly. "Look at you, chasing a billionaire like a stray dog." They shoved past her, satisfied a scandal was secured. Zara's heart shattered as she fled the building, tears burning her vision. Humiliation, that familiar enemy, had returned. She stepped into the street, head down, soul trembling. But fate wasn't finished with this night. A sleek car pulled up beside her. Darian stepped out, anger slicing through the evening air. "Zara," his voice carried concern and fury at once. She looked up, mascara smudged, confidence bruised. "I thought you wanted to talk," she choked out. His jaw locked. "Who told you that?" The truth hit him like betrayal. Belinda's trick. Their intention clear. He reached out, tipping her chin upward with a touch gentler than she deserved but desperately needed. "Don't ever believe lies about yourself," he said softly, "especially when they come from people threatened by you." She tried to step back to protect herself, but her body wobbled. He caught her again the second time he saved her from falling. She whispered through tears, "Why are you being so kind to me?" Darian stared at her like she was a question he had no answer for. "Because kindness is what you deserve. And because—" He paused, afraid of finishing the sentence. "I can't seem to stay away from you." Time slowed. Streetlights flickered like blessings. The wind slowed like witness. Zara's heart, exhausted but hopeful, beat one promise. Something bigger than humiliation was happening here. He opened the car door. "Get in. I'll take you home." For the first time that night, she didn't feel alone. As the car drove away, Belinda watched from the shadows, fists clenched. She had lost the first battle. But war had only begun. The next day, Aurum Tower buzzed with rumors like a beehive on fire. Staff whispered behind screens and over coffee cups. The humiliation of the Sky Lounge had spread across departments. But the narrative had twisted. Zara was waiting for the boss alone. She must have seduced him. She wants to trap a billionaire. Every lie stabbed deeper. Zara wanted to disappear, quit, run, hide her face forever. But Mama Joanna needed medication. Survival had no luxury of pride. She walked into the office, head bowed. Then the lift doors opened with a sharp chime. Darian Cole and Woko stepped out. Silence rippled across the floor like shockwaves. He didn't walk past Zara. He stopped beside her, as if taking a side publicly. Gasps. Belinda nearly choked. "Walk with me," he said softly, but loud enough for the entire floor to hear. Zara hesitated, fear in her chest. But when she looked up into his eyes, she didn't see pity. She saw respect. And that gave her courage. They walked together through a sea of widening eyes. Every step rewrote the narrative. Not a scandal. A partnership. In the boardroom, Darian addressed senior executives, including his uncle, Chief Damien Cole, and the entitled heir wannabe Leo Cole. He spoke directly. "If anyone intends to discredit a staff member under my leadership, I will defend them, especially when they have done nothing wrong." Chief Damien's lips tightened into a dangerous line. Leo scoffed. All this over a mere trainee. Darian turned slowly, voice controlled, yet slicing. "No one in Aurum Group is mere. Not while I am CEO." Power vibrated in the room. Zara felt tears threaten not from sadness, but from a dignity she thought she'd lost. Later that evening, Darian called Zara into his office. The skyline glowed behind him, Lekora Island sparkling like a promise. He handed her a small velvet box. She blinked, confused, cautious. Inside lay a simple coral-beaded bracelet, elegant, traditional, full of meaning. "It belonged to my mother," he said softly. "She believed that when you help someone with pure intentions, you tie your destiny to theirs." Zara's breath trembled. This wasn't romance. This wasn't ownership. This was honor. She looked up, voice shaking. Why me? Darian stepped closer, not too close, just enough that she felt his sincerity. Because every time I think I understand you. He paused, searching her face. You proved me wrong in the best way. Her heart fluttered. Hope that dangerous dream returned. But outside that office door, Chief Damien and Belinda were already plotting Zara's downfall. Because when the heart takes sides, power takes offense, and the war waiting ahead was unlike anything Zara had ever faced. Kindness had lifted Zara from humiliation, but destiny wasn't interested in peace. When jealousy fails quietly, it returns violently. Belinda Armour and Chief Damien Cole. Two different worlds, one common threat. Zara. Belinda's motive, obsession. Damien's motive, power. Because he had noticed something. When Darian defended Zara publicly, shareholders noticed too. Approval ratings shifted. Confidence in Darian grew. And for Damien, that meant his window to take control of Aurum Group was closing. So he sharpened the blade. A brown envelope landed on Darian's desk, no name attached. Inside, copies of the hotel invoice, security camera stills, the payment transfer confirmation, evidence of Zara's one-night deal. Darian's chest constricted rage, guilt, self-disgust. He slammed the envelope shut, as if it burned. But the real fire began when Damien entered the office with a triumphant smirk. You've been careless, nephew. A scandal like this could destroy your credibility. Darian's voice dropped to ice. You stay out of her life. Damien chuckled. She sold her dignity once. She will do it again. Darian moved so fast the room became wind gripping Damien's collar. That girl is worth more than all the greed in your veins. Damien's grin returned. Then fire her, or I will expose everything. He left, and the silence that followed wasn't calm. It was war. That evening, Zara approached Darian's office heart-light with gratitude, unaware of the storm forming around her. But when she stepped inside, the warmth she had come to expect from him was gone. His tone was clipped, cold, wounded. Did you think you could hide it forever? Zara's breath stalled. He threw the envelope lightly across the desk, but the truth hit like a crash. Her hands shook as she saw the photos. Her heart screamed no. Her soul whispered, I knew this would happen. Tears sprang immediately, not from shame, but from betrayal. I did it to save my mother. I didn't take advantage of you. Darian's voice cracked, not loud but broken. You should have told me. Zara stepped back, spine stiff, pride ignited through pain. Told you? You were never supposed to see me again, remember? We made a deal. You wanted a night. I wanted my mother alive. Every word cut deeper than the last. Silence, trembling, distance expanding like a wound. Zara wiped her tears, dignity rising like a queen from ashes. If this is the problem, I can resign. She dropped her ID card on the desk, a goodbye heavier than heartbreak. Then she walked away, not as someone destroyed by shame, but as a woman who refused to kneel to judgment. Darian watched helplessly, regret suffocating him. Because the girl he wanted to protect, he had just pushed back into the very darkness he saved her from. And the cruelest lesson hit him. You can lose someone in one night, but losing them again, that is the kind of pain even billionaires cannot afford. Zara left Aurum Tower with her ID card on Darian's desk, and her heart held together by just one thread: her mother's survival. The Lekora Island breeze hit her cheeks, drying tears she refused to let fall anymore. Mama Joanna needed her. That was her only focus now. Back home on Rosewood Street, she cooked Mama's favorite yam porridge and forced a smile through dinner. But mothers know what silence hides. "Zara, my child, what burden are you carrying alone?" Zara's throat tightened. If she spoke, the dam would break. So she chose the hardest response of all. "Everything is fine, Mama." Meanwhile, at the Cole and Woko Grand Estate, Darian sat in the dark, lights off, guilt heavy on his chest. He replayed every moment he'd hurt her, realizing too late that he became the very kind of man she feared. Powerful, unfair, cruel. Henry approached quietly. "Boss, she doesn't need judgment. She needs someone who believes her." Darian looked up, eyes burning with a new decision. "I will fix this." Morning came with a storm not of weather, but scandal. Someone leaked the evidence. Pictures, invoices, rumors. Zara's name now trended on Lekoranet. Aurum CEO's secret mistress. Student sells herself for power. Cheap girl traps billionaire. Each headline felt like a knife. Her phone buzzed non-stop. Her reputation shattered. Belinda and Cynthia celebrated like vultures dancing around their prey. Zara wanted to run until Mama Joanna held her face gently. "You made a sacrifice out of love. There is no shame in that." Those words became her strength. At Aurum Tower, Darian walked into an emergency shareholders meeting where voices pointed knives at him. Chief Damien smirked. "You've humiliated this company. Step down." But Darian rose calm and powerful like a storm that knows its own strength. "The fault is mine, not hers. I took advantage of a woman desperate to save her mother. She owes no apology. I do." Shock rippled across the room. Then he delivered the blow Damien never saw coming. "I will not resign, but I will protect Zara from every threat, including you. Reputation be damned. Pride irrelevant. Darian chose her." Later that evening, he found Zara sitting by the hospital garden, Mama Joanna asleep inside. Her clothes looked smaller, her shoulders heavier. He approached slowly, voice gentle. "I'm sorry." She didn't look at him. Sorry doesn't erase scars. He knelt, a billionaire kneeling before a girl from Rosewood Street. "Let me help you heal them." Silence. Tears she'd been holding finally escaped. She whispered, "Why? Why risk everything for me?" He placed a hand carefully over his heart. "Because somewhere between saving your mother, you saved me." Zara shut her eyes. Her world finally allowed one moment of peace. Because love, real love, isn't pride. It's sacrifice answered with sacrifice. But fate wasn't applauding yet. Because as they embraced under the dim hospital lights, a camera clicked in the shadows, and the war that jealousy started was about to turn deadly. The picture taken in the hospital garden spread faster than gossip had breath. Headlines turned crueler. Lies gained teeth. The world mocked what it didn't understand. Chief Damien Cole struck swiftly, calling for another board meeting demanding Darian's removal. He arrived with new evidence and a practiced look of disappointment. "A broken leader cannot guide a global empire," he declared. But Darian was done being silent. He stood, eyes ablaze with honor. "You want truth? Then listen." He spoke of Zara not with shame, but with reverence. She sold one night to save her mother's life, not for greed, but for love, and I was the one who took advantage. Gasps erupted. A few executives bowed their heads, struck by the weight of honesty. Damien scoffed. Pathetic attempt at heroism. She's a prostitute. Darian slammed his palm onto the table. Don't you dare call her that. Every word was a sword defending dignity. If you must punish someone, punish me. For once, Damien had no comeback. Because the board watched a CEO who chose integrity over image, and that made him untouchable. Meanwhile, Zara faced her own battle. Belinda and Cynthia had cornered her in the hallway, smirking triumphantly. How does it feel to lose everything? Belinda hissed. But kindness has a way of transforming pain into steel. Zara lifted her chin. I didn't lose. I sacrificed. And sacrifice always returns with interest. She walked away, dignity her shield, truth her weapon. Belinda's confidence cracked. Cynthia's smile died. Because strength in silence is the loudest roar. That evening, Zara returned home exhausted, spirit bruised. As she entered, a soft glow lit up the small living room. Mama Joanna stood from the couch with a smile so bright it wiped away every tear in her memory. Zara, look who came to see us. Darian stepped forward from the shadows. No suit, no arrogance, only sincerity. He dropped to one knee. Zara gasped, hand flying to her trembling lips. You deserve a future covered in honor, not survival. He opened a velvet box, not with diamonds, but with the same coral-beaded bracelet from his mother, now paired with a simple gold ring shaped like a blooming flame. I cannot erase what we have endured, but I can promise a life where you never choose between love and dignity again. Zara's tears fell not of pain, but of answered prayers. Mama Joanna whispered behind her, love that comes from sacrifice is love God himself stamps with approval. Zara stared into Darian's eyes, seeing not a billionaire, but the man who fought for her soul. Her voice was a soft, trembling yes. I'll choose this hope with you. He rose and pulled her into his arms, not claiming her, but protecting her, because giving his last name meant nothing, until he had first given his heart. News of Darian's public defense and the quiet engagement spread across Lekora City like a sunrise after years of storm. The same voices that once mocked Zara now spoke her name with stunned respect. But Zara didn't care for applause. She cared about one thing making her life meaningful. Mama Joanna fully recovered, her laughter returning to the small home on Rosewood Street. The doctor called it a miracle. Zara called it God honoring a daughter's sacrifice. One morning, Zara returned to Aurum Tower, not as a trainee trembling with fear, but as a woman who survived humiliation, jealousy, and war. Belinda and Cynthia watched from afar, jealousy replaced by shame. They expected revenge, but Zara never even looked their way. Because when God lifts a person, enemies become irrelevant. Henry greeted her with a proud grin. Madam Future CEO, welcome back. She laughed shyly, but deep inside, destiny stirred. A week later, Darian organized a press gathering at the Aurum Sky Auditorium. Cameras flashed. Board members stood by. Grandma Isabella beamed like heaven on earth. Darian stepped forward, Zara at his side, hands intertwined. Aurum Group will launch a new foundation. His voice echoed powerfully. The Hope Rising initiative supporting medical care for underprivileged families across Lekora. gasps, admiration, applause. Then Zara spoke for the first time publicly, voice strong and steady. No mother should die because her child was too poor to save her. She paused, chin lifted with royal grace. Pain taught me dignity. Love taught me courage. Sacrifice taught me faith. Her words lit a fire in the room, a flame of change. The very night that once tried to destroy her became the testimony that saved thousands. Later, overlooking Lekora Island from the rooftop garden, Darian wrapped his arms around her gently. "Do you regret anything?" Zara looked at the skyline glittering like destiny had arranged each light. "If pain leads to purpose, then I regret nothing." He kissed her forehead reverently. "You walked into my world as a storm I wasn't ready for, and became the peace I can't live without." Zara smiled up at him. "And you taught me that love isn't bought. It's earned, through sacrifice." Above them, the stars watched in approval, silent witnesses to a love heaven itself arranged. A year later, Mrs. Zara Nwoko stood on a grand stage beside Mama Joanna, launching their first sponsored children into full recovery. Reporters snapped photos not of a billionaire's wife, but of a woman who turned pain into a platform. A Rosewood street girl who rose without stepping on anyone's dignity. A queen crowned not by wealth, but by the night she traded everything to save one life.